Greetings, family, greetings, brothers and sisters. Today, we dive into a controversial meeting that took place at the White House last week, that was July 9th, 2025, where President Donald Trump invited 5 African presidents to discuss trade and investment opportunity. And in this gathering has sparked significant backlash, particularly from our brothers and sisters in Africa, that is the motherland, who view it as a failure and their leaders as, sellouts. So let us break it down. So this meeting was expected to concentrate on Trump's trade, not aid. He has this thing he's calling trade, not aid. After disbanding the US aid, now he's bringing this like, let us do trade rather than us giving you aid. And this policy, and with all these countries, the 5 countries facing 10% tariffs on goods exported to the US, they were hoping maybe to do deals to negotiate this 10% rate down. But let's see what happened. So President Trump hosted leaders from 5 African countries, and when I saw this as well, I was like, what? Serious? I mean, what is happening, especially for Senegal, because Senegal has been that since they fought the former president Macky Sall, and they wanted to be free because they felt like they were being misused and all that. Since that fight, a voice felt close to Senegal, and I was like, no, you shouldn't go, man. Ibrahim Traore will not go. But it was Senegal, Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, and Gabon. And they were meeting in the state dining room. So the official agenda was to deepen commercial ties and replace aid with trade as part of a broader strategy to engage with the African nations. But what really happened behind closed doors, and what were the underlying motives? So although we start with the Senegalese president. I told you Senegal is very close to my heart. So President Diomaye Faye, although he spoke about the prospect of building a tech city in Dakar, with views from the sea, one of the most criticized moments came from him, because in this video that you're going to watch, he flattered Trump by praising his golfing abilities and even invited him to invest in a golf course in Senegal. And in the video, he says that it's 6 hours from the US and 6 hours from the Gulf. And he says Senegal is the tourist country. Okay, I don't know about that. Okay, there's Ngolokoba National Park. I don't know about being a tourism country, although you can go there, you can visit, you can see for yourself.
I was wondering what your secret was for resolving all these complex crises, and I know you are a tremendous golf player. Golf requires concentration and precision, qualities that also make for a great leader. Senegal has exceptional opportunities to offer, including in the area of tourism. So perhaps an investment could be made in a golf course in Senegal. It would just be 6 hours by flight from New York, from Miami, from Europe, or from the Gulf, and that would be an opportunity for you to show off your skills on the golf course too. Thank you for your attention, sir.
Nice. It's some way to show off my skills. It's a long trip to show off my skill, but that's really nice. And he's led a very interesting life. He looks like a very young person. He's a little older than he looks, but a fantastic job. He was treated very unfairly by his government, and he prevailed. And so congratulations on that. Really, congratulations. A great job.
So this comment made in a country struggling with, some things like hospitals and all that, basic infrastructure was seen as a tone deaf and emblematic of the meeting's disconnect from reality. Most of the, we can say, the negative comments or the backlash came from this, comment from President of Senegal, Diomaye Faye. So another instance which followed, which brought about, uh, um, act or angry comments from Africans was when Trump congratulated the Liberian president, Joseph Boakai, on his English skills, despite being Liberia's official language.
And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
And it was crazy because, Liberia was formed by our brothers and sisters or our ancestors who, after being taken to the US and after fighting, they were brought back to Africa. And that is when they created Liberia. Although after some time, Liberia was, a lot of things have been manipulated and it became useless with the civil wars and all that. So another instance is when Trump was clearly displeased and he interrupted the Mauritian president Mohamed Ould Ghazouani mid-speech because he had a schedule to keep.
In our sea waters, so lots of fishing and whatnot. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
We have to go.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
But I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it.
That was crazy too. And another one was when Trump asked the leaders to tell him their names and countries. It's crazy, like I've invited you to my house, but I don't know your name or which country you come from, so you have to introduce yourself.
Maybe we're going to have to go a little bit quicker than this because we have a whole schedule. If I could just say it's, your name and your country would be great. Thank you, please.
Then there was a reaction where, Trump kind of was telling them, you have to buy our weapons, they are much better. So he proposed that as a solution, telling these African countries to invest more in defense.
We encourage the countries here today to make greater investments in defense, hopefully, of course, buying our equipment, because we do make the best defense equipment. I guess we proved that about 2 weeks ago.
In Iran, but we make the best equipment, best military equipment anywhere in the world by far. There's nobody close.
But if we remember the words of our brothers and sisters in the AES, our beautiful leaders in the Niger, Burkina, and Mali, they always say that, especially with France, that they control their military, they control how many weapons to buy, how many people to train, how will they be trained. It's crazy. So with this, social media erupted with criticism. Many Africans called their leaders sellouts and useless, questioning their priorities. I was one of those who questioned their priorities. This backlash was fierce with comments like, why go there without any formal trade proposition? Why go there? I mean, you when you are invited, maybe you would have sat down with the people and like, guys, what can we do if I have to go? But in the feet of Ibrahim Traore, in the shoes of Ibrahim Traore, would you have gone? He would not have gone. Or maybe he would have sent a prime minister. So these guys went begging for investments while, ignoring the domestic needs. And we saw like the president of Gabon, the fake president. Of course, he came through a fake coup. Then now he has been elected. And this guy went and told Trump how he is able. They have a lot of minerals, and true, Gabon has a lot of minerals, but he comes back home with a make America great again, and he feels like he's now Trump himself. My goodness, who bewitched Africans? Why do we have such a president? Now, instead of having like make Gabon great again or wearing some cape with Gabon, he comes with MAGA cap. It is good. He feels like he's now an angel of God Trump. So let's think about it. Okay, beyond the surface level discussions, Trump's real aim seemed to be securing agreements from these countries to have the deported immigrants, people who are being deported from the USA. And this seems like a broader controversial deportation strategy, as highlighted in reports about the Trump administration policies and the lack of transparency and the focus on deportation rather than mutual benefit raised eyebrows. We have seen deportations, or we have seen several cases of the US forcing some African countries, like we have seen even the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs saying no, because Trump is pushing, or the US is pushing Nigeria to accept deportees from Venezuelan deportees from the US. And we have seen the same case for, I think, South Sudan, where some guys, okay, one person was from South Sudan, but I think there were others who were from South America. So you are taken to your country, and I think there are several countries which are considering this. And if I remember, Liberia could be one of them, and Eswatini and Rwanda. I don't know why Kagame feels like he has to receive these deportees from everywhere. Sometimes back it was from the UK. Now we are talking about the US. So the African state heads also used the platform to talk about their respective natural resources and raw materials, including rare earth minerals. Some made direct appeals to US investors and the president. For example, we talked about the Gabon president, Brice Oligui Nguema, and he said his country has a great deal of resources, including rare earth minerals. And they are talking about rare earth minerals because you remember Trump is following Ukraine because of their rare earth minerals. He wants to make a deal with them, like we need to stop this war, and once the war stops, we are coming in and taking your rare earth minerals. So let us look at what each country brings to the table in terms of resources. And Senegal, for example, we know Senegal has gas. We know, like, offshore gas, a lot of it. If you've been there, you've seen it. You've seen the big ship mining gas. They also have iron ore. There's gold in Kedugu, and it's rich in phosphate. Then Liberia was known for timber and rubber. You know, rubber is used to make tires and all that. And they also have iron ore reserves. Guinea-Bissau, they have a lot of bauxite. Bauxite is the ore that harbors aluminium, and they do have a lot of cashew nuts. Well, even Senegal has a lot of cashew nuts and mangoes. And then we have Mauritania. Mauritania has one of the longest rails from inland to the port, taking iron ore to the ocean for France. So they have iron ore, they have copper, they have gold. And Gabon has a lot of oil, manganese, and timber. Yeah, I remember, I think sometimes back, or last year or the year before, the Chinese going to cut timber in Gabon. And we also have these videos of, or documentaries of people talking about how they were exploited in these companies. So these resources are crucial, very crucial, but the question remains, how would the leaders benefit from this meeting? Because when you see a Western president calling African leaders, definitely this one thing, like, we want to come and mind that. We want to push China out of this. You remember some weeks ago we talked about Congo? Congo has been sold to the US. It's not funny. So from an African perspective, the disappointment was palpable. Many felt that their leaders failed to represent their interests effectively. For example, one person said on X, for as long as African leaders don't want to cooperate as Africans, but always want to approach Africa from Europe, America, and Asia, Africa isn't going anywhere. And the alienation was evident. Some Senegalese were even happy with the meeting, hyping it up. But I remember our own brother from Burkina, Saimakas Half Traore, on X, described this as pure alienation. The lack of a clear beneficial outcome for Africa was a significant point of, contention. And this meeting at the White House was marred by missteps and missed opportunities, and priorities for Africans. And while Trump aimed for strategic gains, particularly in deportation policies, the African leaders focus on flattery and non-essential investments like golf courses highlighted a disconnect from their people's needs. Seriously, Jomai, why would you talk about a golf course? How will it affect that kid borrowing on the street? How will it affect a farmer in Tambakunda, a miner in Kedugu, a fisherman in Ziguinchor? How? I mean, golf course. I mean, you would have talked about, bro, we want you to lower the 10% tariff so that we can bring the cashew, because in most cases the cashew is being bought by Vietnamese or Asians. Let me say Asians in general, and not it's been bought by Lebanese. Okay, let me say Asians in general. And as Africans, it's crucial to demand better representation and hold our leaders accountable. Otherwise, man, what we're having is, I don't think even if someone like any president of the US went there, they would have stayed there and praised Trump and said, yeah, you ended war and you should have the Nobel Peace Prize and all that. No, you called me here. What do you want? That is the first question. What are you looking forward to getting from me? What's the deal here? Okay, that's what you want. So, what about me? What do my people want? You talk about your people. So, guys, let us know, because this was not very well planned, and the articulation, the presentation was not as Africans, and maybe even the people of African descent who are living abroad would have expected. It was a flop according to me, and Africans didn't get what they were expecting. So let us know what you think in the comment section. If you'd like to support us, we have Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. We also have super chats and super thanks on YouTube. And if this is your first time seeing this face on your screen, please subscribe so that we can continue talking more about this. See you in the next video. Bye bye.